We've come to Russia hoping to make a life and a future for our kids. And it seems like everything that we try to do just backfires on us.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of ScamCat, or as we say in Russian, Здравствуйте, Homeless in Russia, the story of how a family of moral migrants moved to Russia and got relieved of their savings. We're going to take you through the story of Leon and Chantelle Hare. First, I'll look at the timeline of events, summarize them, and then I'll offer my analysis with a little help of the ScamCat. I'm your host, the Cat's Dad. December 2023, Leon and Chantelle Hare moved to Russia with 3 boys. Chantelle was assisted by Svetlana, a consultant who you'll meet a little later on here, who provides Americans with relocation services. Leon and Chantelle considered themselves moral migrants, which means they were leaving the U.S. to live in a society that reflected their Christian values. Svetlana arranged for the two of them to stay with and their kids to stay with a Baptist pastor, allegedly at a lodge of some sort for free. But the arrangement would prove to be more costly than the family would have imagined. Let's listen to a little more of Chantelle's story.
See, when we first got there to that Baptist farm, we were kind of, still in a panic, trying to transfer our wealth and the little bit that we came with. And his son, had a business, and he said, I'm going to introduce you to my son, and my son can help you to exchange your rubles and your little bit of crypto that you have, and he can get it all put from dollars to rubles really easily. He's the financial advisor and part of a company that does small investments. They buy cars.
So to summarize this, the son of the pastor here proposed an investment scheme to provide them with monthly income, and Leon and Chantelle claimed that the contract allowed them to get their money out at any time. And people, you've just got to really be careful about schemes that guarantee you income. Investments are just so volatile, and that should really be a red flag to you whenever anybody comes along saying, you're going to have guaranteed income from this. You've got to be, that's got to raise red flags for you. Now I'm going to let Chantelle tell you how she felt about this offer.
Oh, me personally, I didn't want to do it. I didn't care. I said, look, man, we don't know these people. We don't know anything about them. Yeah, they're a pastor and a pastor's son, but honestly, we don't know them at all. How do we know he's a pastor? Well, it just so happens that some other people had come and said, yeah, we know him. We vouch for him. Who are you? And why are you here? And, they wanted to meet the American family. So anyway, biggest freaking mistake of our life. It has ruined everything, every plan that we had here to buy a home. And in fact, we did it because some people that we were working with told us that we wouldn't be able to buy a house until spring. Nobody's going to help us buy anything until spring because it was the winter and all the holidays are happening and nobody's really selling homes right now. You'll get a better price in the summer. And gave the kid our money. That was December 30th, 2023. Now, here we are, September 21st, 2024. Still basically begging for them to give us our money back.
Okay, so when the Hares failed to obtain the money they were supposed to be able to per their contract, they no longer felt comfortable residing at the lodge of this Baptist pastor. And so Svetlana helped them find another arrangement. And this time they got a free place on a farm. The only catch was that Leo had to work 13-hour days with no days off. Leo was paid a small salary in addition to the housing, but after 6 days of working in a row, he was informed that he could not take a day off unless one of his sons worked for him. So the Hares were very uncomfortable with this arrangement that felt increasingly like forced labor. So I'll let Chantelle tell us a little bit about that place.
And we thought it was a really beautiful place. The house was nice. We had an income coming in. We could try getting this money from the kid who stole our money. I thought, okay, well, we'll stay here until we can get our money and then we'll buy a house. So we committed to a 1-year contract. There was no actual contract, though. It's just a verbal agreement. We asked for a contract. We asked for a contract that would show us our hours and our pay and what we were committing ourselves to. And he said, oh, no, we'll do it the Russian way. You don't need a contract. He said that, here you'll work, you'll have these responsibilities, Leo. You'll have to do all these chores and there'll be other people there helping you. Don't worry. You'll work together and get these chores done. And once you're done with your chores, you make your own schedule. Just get the stuff done and make sure that you guys work together. Okay. And I asked, what would my schedule be? And they said, well, you'll help in the hotel or the restaurant, wherever we kind of need you. And you'll basically work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay. Fair enough. And they said some days will be long and some days will be shorter. Just as long as you guys get whatever you need done. A week went by and Leo said, look, I need to get a day off so we can handle these situations. And they turned and said, no, you don't get days off. You don't get days off. He put in 8 days of work between 13 and 14 hours a day, starting at 5:30 in the morning. And he would get off anywhere between 6:30 and 8, I think was one of the nights he came rolling in.
Okay, so the video that you all have been watching here is one that Chantelle posted in September, detailing her frustrations about the situation. And 4 days later, her husband Leo posted a video of a similar length, and he acknowledged that it had been his decision to invest their life savings against his wife's wishes. And guys, I'm telling you, don't do that. I've seen people do this and invest not life savings, but money against the wishes of their spouse. If your spouse doesn't want to invest in something, then you don't do it. If you manage money jointly, you've got to take your spouse's wishes into consideration on things like this. Even if it's the wrong thing that you do, at least you're on the same team. If you invest against your spouse's wishes, you need to be right every single time. Moving right along, the videos, of course, sparked a lot of blowback to Svetlana and the relocation consultants that are affiliated with her. On October 1st, 4 of these consultants recorded a group session where they invited Leo and Chantelle. Leo did not attend, while Chantelle appeared only through chat, and Leo and Chantelle were both in consultation with law enforcement and with lawyers. So as a lawyer myself, I can tell you that they shouldn't appear on a video such as that when they have criminal actions and civil actions potentially pending against someone. So this video is available on YouTube, and we'll be going over a little of it right here. Now, my overall impression of the 4 main participants in this video, they all attacked the Hares, but oddly, they just didn't have much negative to say about the fact that they allegedly lost their life savings. They all explained how the Hares got to stay 3 places for free, though the last 2 were work arrangements. All 4 were also highly critical of the apparent foolishness of the arrangement that the Hares made to invest their life savings. Again and again, they accused the Hares of dishonesty for failing to appear on the show to discuss details, even when they acknowledged that there is an active law enforcement investigation and that may legally bar them from speaking out further. So we're going to start with Stephen here. He starts out emphasizing that they got to stay somewhere for a year for free, and then he moves into talking about something that is very interesting, which is how the Hare family was, they got them a gig where they acted as a representative family for some sort of official function for the Russian government, which is kind of a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and let Stephen talk.
For almost a year, where they were able to live for free on a farm. They did have to tend to the animals a little bit. And then she got them a opportunity to speak to the president's men in Russia. So I have a video to that links below. So the Hare family and I and her gave a speech off Red Square. And on top of that, she then applied for their asylum status. So she got them their asylum status. The place where...
So this is another wrinkle in the whole thing that just really makes it bad. And also, none of these four people seem to grasp that aspect of it either. That, you know, when you go taking somebody and making them the public face of your thing, you know, you better make sure that those people are happy. And you better make sure that somebody you know or that you put them into contact with did not act in a manner towards them that might reflect back on you and make you look really bad. So I'm going to go ahead and let Steven go on talking here. You can see Chantelle's message that she sent into the show.
Mention a couple of the comments, and then I want you guys to grill us and see if.
Sorry, Joe. The comment below. I apologize for interrupting. The comment below now is what? This is a comment that just appeared, or something, or how?
I don't know.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah. So someone put it on the screen for us. We do have a backroom guy who's helping us out. So this is from Chantelle Hare. She says she's got to put things on hold.
Is this now?
Yeah, this just came in apparently.
Oh, okay. Well.
Now, so the main comment I wanted to bring up is someone commented on her video. Yes, I don't know why you didn't go to the police instead of hiring lawyers. This is for their money that they feel was stolen. Also, it seems to me that expat American and his wife were not really helpful. They sent you to a farmer who basically wanted cheap labor. How wrong of them? And Chantelle typed, agreed. So I want to know from Sveta, do you agree with Chantelle? Is this correct? Are you using them for cheap labor? And also I want to say, I hate having to do this, guys, because, you know, I want to get along with everybody. But because it was said publicly, now I have to address it publicly. So Sveta?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk. And the only reason I'm doing that, like you said, because it became public, and now I feel like we have no choice. Because people keep on asking me daily and commenting daily, like, what's going on? Are you aware of the family? So how are you helping them and what's happened to them? And I still want to do my best to help them as much as I personally can and as much as our team can help them. So the question about was it the question about the last place where they were trying to work? Is it correct?
Well, it says, I don't know why you didn't go to the police. It also seems to me the expat American and his wife were not really helpful. They sent you to a farm to be used as cheap labor.
Right.
And Chantelle agrees with that.
Right. So, and they were having negotiations, the Hare family and this person, and I was just translating. So I didn't make any decisions. Actually, the person who was hiring them, he said, do you want to think about it? Do you want to take some time, maybe a week or 2 weeks, to kind of think about it and decide if it will fit you? And as I know, they decided in a couple of days that they wanted to move to the farm and work. And of course, I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what was happening, but they were working for 5 days. And then I guess something happened where they didn't feel that that's fair and that's they're working, you know, they probably felt like they worked too much.
Now, I think Svetlana sounded all right here. She did the best possible job she could have done of defending her own actions. But Stan Spilinam, I believe is how you pronounce his name, starts out by saying he shouldn't say anything. And I just wonder, why do people always say that and then go on to not take their own advice?
Okay, well, you know what? People were sending me their videos as well. And at first I looked and I was like, I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to do anything. And I'm still technically, I'm not sure if I should be, because I wanted to make something really special for this couple. But it seems to me that, and this is my own opinion, is they are liars, freeloaders, and unfortunately, they paint everyone in a bad light, including themselves. But that's their own problem. Now,
so Stan thought it would be a good tack to call people who've been swindled out of their life savings liars and freeloaders. Well, if you're going to use strong words like that, you better have some proof. Let's see if he does.
There's been a lot of background conversations. And one of these conversations, Eddie can vouch, Joseph can vouch. And I did say this before because they mentioned they wanted to come on and they wanted to be part of the live, which is fantastic. And then they said they're going to go to the police first, which everyone has the right to do. Everyone has the right to go to the police. That's the right thing to do anyway. But I said, the reason why they want to go to the police is that once they have that official report, they will officially be able to say, we're not going to go on live because we have to wait for this investigation to conclude. Didn't I say that, Eddie? Joe?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Whoa, I guess you really called it there, Stan. This guy's level of egotistical discourse is just off the charts. He's basically accusing them of wanting to go to the police, not because $50,000 was stolen, but rather because they didn't want to come on this show. If a lawyer were to ever make an implication like that in court, it would have to be stricken from the record. It's just entirely ridiculous for him to suggest that they should put his silly little show, which was obviously intended to be a hostile interview, ahead of the recovery of $50,000, which, if you believe the numbers that Svetlana said that was the money that she'd made off of this couple, it would take her hundreds and hundreds of clients to make $50,000. Now here's where it gets worse for Stan. He basically says that he doesn't have any of the details on the particulars of how Leo may or may not have gotten scammed, but at this point that they made this video, Leo had already released his video. I watched the video, and Leo gave specifics in there. He detailed how he asked for specifics. He received interest only after persisting, and he asked to exercise the withdrawal provision of his contract and was not permitted to do it.
I have lots of questions for them because you know what? I mean, there's lots of people who want to move to Russia and they're thinking, wow, look at the problems that these people are facing. And there are problems with registration, finding work. I completely understand. But when you take your life savings and you put them into an investment and you don't actually give the details of the investment, for how long, what happens if you take money out early, can you take money out early, how much you'll be paid per month, can you be paid per month if you take the money early, what's going to happen to the investment, is it going to do anything to the percentage, is it...
Yes. So Leo went over all that stuff. And so the fact that Stan's on here acting like he didn't have access to that information is just highly disingenuous. At worst, it's dishonest. At minimum, it's very lazy. You know, I think we can all tell I certainly can from Stan's demeanor that this is a individual who clearly loves the sound of his own voice. He's a fast talker, and he speaks when he ought to do a lot more listening. But since he has no facts to go on that were readily available to him, instead he decides he's going to put on his tinfoil hat for the second time, but at least this time he's going to acknowledge.
Is it even possible? Because maybe this investment is into a product that is a long-term investment and you can't take money out without selling the particular product and putting everyone else's investment in jeopardy. There's lots of logical questions that I would love to ask. And in this case, when someone is trying to basically pull on my emotional strings and not giving any proof whatsoever, throwing everyone under the bus, but doing it so perfectly, and putting bad light on Russia, on America at the same time. So on Russians, Americans, religious people, the government, anyone who's trying to help them. I mean, their videos it's almost like it was, I mean, if I wanted to put a tinfoil hat and be conspiracy theorists, it's almost like their videos it's like they were taught how to do this. It was that perfect. So unfortunately, it is what it is.
Now, this particular statement by Stan just really stands out to me as exemplary of a dishonest person, because he basically says, okay, I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat and talk about this. He uses the exact words. And when somebody talks like that, what they're basically saying is that, oh, anybody out there who uses a little logic to figure something out, well, that you're just a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. You ought to just listen to me. But on the other hand, it's okay to be tinfoil if I'm doing it. As the audience can probably tell, I don't really like this guy much. Now I want us all to listen to Stephen again make an appeal for Christian unity and what he says here.
One other thing that I wanted to touch on about this, it's kind of minor, but as a Christian, it kind of bothered me, is that there were comments made about the fact that the person they were renting from, whose son did the money transaction, that they don't like. Many times they were referred to as the Baptists and the Baptist preacher. And there are people commenting, oh, don't trust, Christians, don't trust religious people. And I just want to say, that's something we want to be careful of. The fact that they're Baptist has nothing to do with this story. And as a Christian, I think that, in my opinion, it's good for us to be supportive of anyone who thinks Jesus is Lord, anyone who's...
Whoa there, Stephen. Somebody could get the wrong impression here. They might think that you cared more about someone claiming Jesus is Lord than about that person being a scammer who steals money. Do you see the problem here, Stephen? Stephen, you there? But seriously, Stephen's comments just segue perfectly into my analysis of what I feel may have happened here. The 4 consultants that you saw talking here have carried out what is possibly the worst damage control effort I've ever seen. Attacking a client who got scammed by a person you recommended is just not a good look. The failure of the 4 to hold these alleged scammers accountable in any meaningful way is equally concerning. Stephen's statements here about being concerned that people were pointing out that the guy's a Baptist minister is just ridiculous. They wouldn't have trusted the guy with their money if he wasn't a Baptist minister. Come on, Stephen. The rules of the Russian immigration system make it difficult to obtain housing because a landlord must essentially vouch for you as a foreign tenant. And this is something that I know I forgot to mention earlier or play a video of someone talking about this, but that is the situation here. Basically, these people had to have a landlord vouching for them in order for them to stay there. So they had to have somebody like this Baptist pastor in their lives at this point because of the immigration system. With housing being so cheap and so plentiful, it's a risk without much reward if the landlord can't get paid by or find some other means of profit. You know, it's very odd that this quote unquote pastor was providing housing for free. Leo and Chantelle forgot the age-old adage that says, when you can't spot the revenue stream, you're it. Affinity fraud often happens between members of a religious sect because they trust each other, more so than they trust outsiders. That's just a known thing. The alleged circumstance fit the textbook definition of affinity fraud. Leo alleges that after significant pressure and for the return of his funds, he received just a fraction back and was told that it was interest. That really sounds like somebody, you know, running some kind of a scheme where you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And the Hares felt that way too, clearly. Then we have this other wrinkle where the Hares and Svetlana and her husband Joe were basically where the Hares were used as a model family at the government event promoting immigration, and of course the Svetlana and Joe were right there to shake hands with all the officials. And the timeline of this isn't clear but if this happened after the investment, it may have been a subtle way of encouraging the Hares to play along with the Baptist pastor by him showing that he had government contacts, and that if you've got $300,000 in the bank account and $50,000 has gone missing here, you know, maybe you ought to just forget about that and we all be friends and we can make it up to you down the road or something like that. In either case, Joe seems way more concerned about the fact that Leo mentioned the scammer's dad is a Baptist pastor than the fact that his son has $50,000 that does not belong to him and that cannot be accounted for at this moment. And it is certainly not a good look for him to have participated in the in this official government event where the Hares were highlighted as some kind of model family, because it sounds like the pastor might have had something to do with them getting selected for this event. If you're still with me, I want to thank you, and I'm going to close by giving my opinion on what might have happened here. Again, these are not things that did happen, only what might have happened. The pastor and his son believed that the Hares family would have more than $50,000 as they claimed. The Hares, Mr. Hare is in his late 50s and moving to another country, and you know, Leo's clearly not good with money, and he may not have been completely honest about his financial situation as well. He might have been carrying himself as a person of more means than he actually was in reality. Pastor and his son probably thought that they could take $50,000, put it into their slush fund, give him free housing and the occasional payment / excuse, and that he would just kind of look the other way until he moved out. And then they could tell him, yeah, that investment didn't work out. We all took a 60% haircut. This plan might have failed because the Hares actually needed that money to live. Stan, who appeared to display a slight lack of empathy for the Hares having lost all this money, put on a tinfoil hat to declare that everything that the Hares did could be calculated to make Russia look bad. Like some kind of a foreign agent, I guess he was implying. The ScamCat loves a good rabbit hole, so let's go down it. What if Leo Hare is a sheep-dipped CIA asset who was told to go to Russia, give some money to a scammer, and then speak out about his experience? If that's the case, I think that the FSB and the GRU need to also look at these 4 consultants here as potential collaborators in that endeavor. Their effort to point fingers at a former client and to victim blame them in a live event, fully monetized on YouTube, has just amplified this way beyond where it would have been if they had just waited for law enforcement to do their thing. Stan falsely states that the Hares provided no facts. Eddie Gonzalez here, the portly gentleman in the top right, made some comments that I didn't get to show you, but he alleged that something Leo told him contradicted a comment that Leo made, but he did not go into any details. And then one participant alleged, and I don't remember if it was Gonzalez or not, but that the husband and wife told different stories. And I've watched both the husband and wife's videos, 30 minutes in length, and I did not see any major contradictions. And additionally, Leo alleged that he could get no concrete details about the actual venture that his money was invested in. So, there's that as well. These 4 consultants seem to be to do very well on clients that they allege to make only a few $100s off of each one. Svetlana supposedly only made $300 on the service provided to the Hares, and yet they don't allow for the Hares to be a little emotional about losing $50,000. People who make 300 transactions just think that someone who loses $50,000 should lump it, I guess. See Stan here with a parent background in psych as well as immigration says that when someone is telling the truth, it's just facts and never emotion. So that's why I threw the thing in there about being a little emotional about $50,000. I certainly would be, and I think most of the people listening here would be too. So if the Hares are indeed a team of chaos agents working to make Russia look bad on the world stage, they're much more believable at playing the victim than Joe, Svetlana, and Stan here. So for these 3, their own self-centered response is going to damage their business far more than the video comments. Now remember, Joe, I don't know if I got this in here, but Joe said it wasn't the videos, but some of the comments that triggered him. And in one case, the comment that Joe mentioned was Chantelle simply replying with the word agreed when someone agreed that his wife Svetlana could have found a better work arrangement than the place that wanted him to work for 8 days without getting a day off. To save their reputations, Joe and Svetlana had just better pray that the Hares are indeed a team of spies, because that's the only way that I see them recovering from this after their video. I want to thank everybody for sticking with me to the end if you did. This is our first episode of ScamCat. We'll obviously be making improvements, so please give me a bunch of comments and tell me everything that me and my cat did wrong. So without further ado, we will bid you goodbye, or as they say in Russian, до свидания.